All right, let's dive deep inside the human body. We're going to meet an absolutely elite task force, a defense system that's so specialized it can learn, adapt, and remember every single battle it ever fights. We're talking, of course, about the adaptive immune system. It all really boils down to this one question. Have you ever wondered why you only get something like chickenpox once? Or how do vaccines even work? Well, the answer is hidden in this system's incredible long-term memory. It's not just about fighting the infection you have right now. It's about preparing for every future fight against that same enemy. So let's figure out how it does it. So here's our mission briefing for today. First, we're going to meet the generals who call all the shots. Then we'll see the assassins who get into close quarters combat. After that, we'll check out the specialists who deploy long-range weapons. We'll even get a guide to those weapons. And finally, we'll see how the whole operation wins the war and creates a lasting memory of the enemy. Okay, so any good military operation needs a commander, right? Well, in the adaptive immune system, that job belongs to the CD4 plus helper T cells. Now, they don't do the fighting themselves. Oh no, they're way too important for that. They coordinate the entire attack. But before they can give any orders, they need good intel. And that intel comes from this amazing system, the Major Histocompatibility Complex, or MHC for short. The easiest way to think about MHC molecules is like they're tiny little flagpoles on the surface of your cells. And their whole job is to hold up little pieces of whatever's going on inside that cell for T cells to come by and inspect. Now, this is absolutely critical. There are two types of these flagpoles, and they send totally different messages. MHC class I is on basically every single cell in your body. It's like a constant status report that says, hey, something is wrong inside me. This is perfect for spotting a cell that's been hijacked by a virus. MHC class II, though, that's different. It's only used by special scout cells, and they use it to shout, hey, look what I found out there. So our general helper T cell sees the look what I found signal, but it doesn't just launch an attack based on that. The system has this brilliant safety feature. To activate a T cell, you need two separate signals, kind of like turning two keys at the same time to launch a missile. Signal 1 is recognition, the T cell sees the bad guy. But signal 2 is this crucial confirmation handshake. Without that second signal, the T cell stands down or is told to self-destruct. This is huge because it prevents our own immune system from accidentally attacking us. Once both those keys are turned, the T cell general is fully activated, and it starts shouting orders. And these orders are chemical messengers called cytokines. One of the really important ones is interleukin-2, or IL-2. It's this powerful signal that basically tells all the other T cells, wake up, multiply, get ready to fight. It turns a single quiet alarm into a full-blown army-wide call to arms. With the alarm blaring, it's time to call in the special forces. This is the direct action part of the task force. Meet the assassins, the CD8 plus cytotoxic T cells. Their job is incredibly precise and incredibly lethal. They deliver what's known as the kiss of death to any of our own cells that have been compromised by a virus or have turned against us by becoming cancerous. The process is just beautiful in its precision. The assassin T cell finds an infected body cell that's broadcasting that something is wrong inside me signal on its MHC class I. It latches on, and then it delivers a 1-2 punch. First, it releases a protein called perforin, which does exactly what it sounds like. It perforates the target cell, punching little holes in it. Then, through those holes, it injects these deadly enzymes called granzymes. These enzymes are a direct order to the infected cell, telling it to start its own self-destruct sequence, a process called apoptosis. It's like a controlled demolition, super clean, and it takes out the threat without causing a huge mess. But, hand-to-hand combat doesn't work for enemies just floating around in your blood or tissues. For that, the immune system needs a whole other strategy. It needs long-range weapons, and this is where the B cells come into play. You can think of B cells as these mobile weapons factories. When they bump into an enemy they recognize and get that final go order from a helper T cell general, they completely transform. They become what are called plasma cells, and their only job from that point on is to just churn out millions and millions of these tiny, powerful, Y-shaped proteins called antibodies. But what's so cool about B cells is they're amazing multitaskers. Their main job is making antibodies, for sure. But they can also act as scouts themselves, presenting antigens to helper T cells to help get the whole response started.
And, maybe most importantly, after the fight is over, some of them stick around as memory B cells, our veterans, ready to launch a way faster, way stronger response next time. So let's take a closer look at these incredible weapons they make. Antibodies, which are also called immunoglobulins, aren't all the same. They actually come in different classes, and each one is specialized for a different kind of warfare. But first, just look at this number, 10 to the 11th power. That's 100 billion. Through this wild genetic shuffling process called VDJ recombination, your body can create up to 100 billion different types of antibodies. Think about that. It's like having 100 billion unique keys for any lock an invader could possibly have. It's the system's true genius. It doesn't need a pre-existing plan for every enemy. It can build a custom weapon on the fly. This table kind of breaks it down. You've got IgG, that's your workhorse, the most common one in your blood, and it's fantastic at tagging bad guys for destruction. It's also the only one that can cross the placenta to protect a newborn. Then there's IgA, the guardian of all your gateways, like in your saliva and mucus. IgM is the first responder, the first one on the scene during an infection. IgE is the specialist for parasites and, well, it's also the one behind allergic reactions. And IgD, it's still a bit of a mystery, honestly, mostly hanging out on the surface of B cells. Okay, so we've got our generals, our assassins, and our long-range antibody weapons. How do these antibodies actually win the war? And how does the system make sure it never forgets an enemy? Here's the key thing to remember. Antibodies don't usually kill things directly. They're more like the ultimate targeting system. They can neutralize threats just by glomming onto the dangerous parts of a virus or a toxin, completely blocking them. Or they can coat a bacterium, a process called opsonization, which is basically like painting a giant eat me sign on it for other immune cells to see. They can even kick off a chain reaction called the complement system that ends up punching holes in bacteria. They are just incredibly versatile. And this, right here, is the secret to immunity. After the battle is won, most of the T cells and B cells that were created for the fight die off. But a small population of veterans, both memory T cells and memory B cells, they survive. These cells are the living history of that battle. They can circulate in your body for years, sometimes your whole life. And if that same bad guy ever dares to show its face again, they unleash a response so fast and so powerful, you probably won't even know you were sick. This is the very principle that makes vaccines work. But, just as important as knowing when to attack is knowing when to stand down. Once the threat is gone, the whole system has to go back to a state of peace. And this regulation is absolutely non-negotiable. An immune system that can't turn itself off is just as dangerous as one that can't turn on, and can lead to things like chronic inflammation and autoimmune diseases. Which kind of brings us to our final thought. We've just walked through this unbelievably precise and powerful system of recognition, activation, and memory. So, if it's so smart, why does it sometimes make catastrophic mistakes? Why does this elite task force, which is designed to protect us, sometimes turn its weapons on our own healthy cells? And that question, well, that opens up the whole complex world of autoimmunity. And it's a powerful reminder that even in the most sophisticated systems, that line between friend and foe can sometimes get a little blurry.